Well, welcome back. 2026 has arrived. Woohoo! We're officially here. It is the Off Central podcast, and we're so glad that you decided to tune us in. I was going to say, but to tune into us.
Tune into us. Yeah. So good to have you guys.
Yeah, so good. Thank you so much for coming on, Pastor.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. We've been talking with the team. We've got some good stuff planned for this year.
Yeah.
Guests coming in, Shane, Dad, other people coming back. We're going to do some reaction videos. So it's going to be, we're going to be doing some good stuff this year.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, but it's crazy. I say 2026 has begun. We're already in February. Which is wild. The whole thing is just going so quickly.
Yeah.
And but we're launching off into a new series, and we're talking about the book of Daniel. And so today I wanted to dive in and talk about culture wars and identity, which is kind of really how you kicked off the series, and it leads us into so many interesting questions and segues and pathways that we can dive into.
Sure. Yeah.
But here's an interesting question when we talk about identity. Who is Pastor Larry?
Oh man, that's a great question. You probably should ask my wife that.
You get more honest answer.
I think she may know me more than I know myself sometimes, and, but yeah, I think Pastor Larry, wow, that's a good question because not everybody knows behind the scenes. One of the things that most people may not know about me, I'm not a gregarious or outgoing person. Like a lot of people think that because I'm on the stage, right? Or I'm in the atrium talking to people, or I'm in a room and I walk in a room and I start chatting it up. I don't know. It may be more of a nervous thing for me to do that than it is like just who I am. But because at the end of the day, I'm probably even more on the side of more of an introvert than I am a gregarious, outgoing person. So maybe that's a part of what some people don't know about me.
Yeah. I know so many pastors that way, or communicators, or people in the public eye. Yeah. And it's interesting because the public eye has a certain persona
for sure
of you, but then who you really are, so more quiet and reserved, and that's part of your identity. Yeah. What's interesting about identity is, if someone asks me like, who are you? Or somebody, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, you're out to dinner and, what do you do? And, you present who you are. Yeah. It is really telling, isn't it, what people choose to say about themselves first. Like typically they'll talk about their job first, because that kind of narrows it down. Are they in tech? Are they creative? Or if I say, usually pastor actually doesn't really help people that much, but they know, okay, he's religious and he's not. So as soon as I say one word, people create and shape an identity for you. Yeah. And that's just all I've said is I'm pastor.
I'm a pastor.
And the more words you put out, the more you're shaping a picture of who you are.
Sure, yeah.
And I think when it comes to identity, one of the early markers that all of us talk about is like our history. So English is people here. And then people immediately have identity markers, don't they? They go, bad food.
Terrible food.
beans on toast.
That's terrible. That's awful.
Comedy, Mr. Bean. They start picking out random cultural references, and they slap that onto the identity marker of Jonathan, right?
Which is totally not true, probably in a lot of ways, right?
No, we have terrible food. And so, but it is interesting how that is, generally speaking, how we tend to shape other people's picture of the identity that we have around other people, right? Yeah. We often talk about our past and our history and where we come from and our families and, English culture and traditions and all of these kinds of things, which makes sense why you jumped into Daniel talking about culture and his culture, right? Because he was kind of, he has an identity, he has a past, he has a history. They have, the Jewish culture, and he's ripped from that and he's put in. So what was some of your thinking around that when it came to Daniel and how that relates to us?
I think it's one of the most impressive, probably most profound scripture when it comes to culture. And it's not even, you don't even read it that way, but you have to look into it that way because in chapter 1 there, when he's talking about and what Nebuchadnezzar was going to do to put Ashpenaz, I think I'm saying that correctly. You guys can correct me in the comments section, but to put them over them to re-indoctrinate their thinking, to reprogram them. I think it's one of the best scriptures to look at how culture shapes people's lives.
Right.
I've never, I don't think the New Testament, I was trying to think the other day, like, is there a New Testament story that shows that? And I just couldn't come up with one in my mind that was so culture shaping moment of what the Babylonians did to this group of people and took them in for 3, and it was specific, like 3 years, we're going to work with these people to reprogram them to our thinking, our doctrine, our theology, our thoughts on our gods, how we do things, and even our story, to erase the memory of their own stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't, that was one of the things that really stood out to me at the beginning of that chapter was how culture and it's fascinating how our culture works as well. Right. And how it shapes our life.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole nother story, but yeah.
Well, yeah. And just for reference, if you don't know scripture that well, Daniel's a story of the Israelites.
Yeah.
Being invaded by the Babylonians.
That's right, yeah.
And losing their homeland.
Yeah.
And Daniel is a character at this point, who's a young man who's been dragged from his home city into Babylon. So he's been taken captive.
That's right. Yeah.
Along with some friends, and they take him and a few others.
But they take the best, which I thought was awesome from their standpoint, like the most educated, the best looking, and it even says without defect.
Right.
Like they were like
no moles,
nothing, no freckles,
jaw,
no strong jaws. They wanted the best of the best.
Full hairline.
Yeah. Yeah. All the potential in the world, right? And they didn't, and here's the thing, and I made this remark this past weekend, they didn't put them in chains, they put them in a classroom.
Yeah, which is so, that's a whole sermon in itself. Like, what classroom are your chains?
Yeah.
What chains is your classroom?
Yeah.
Because it's a re-education, isn't it?
It was.
It's
absolutely.
But it's a picture of what culture does.
Yep.
Like, it's kind of like an intense 3-year version of what culture gradually does with all of us.
Yeah.
Like, we get put in an environment where our beliefs get shaped, our thinking gets shaped, our paradigm gets shaped, our history gets retold in a different lens. Yeah. I'm sure the Babylonians were trying to teach them about, their history and how the Israelite history fits into the Babylonian, and it's a different context if you understand.
That's right. Yeah.
And so there's this whole propaganda campaign that goes on for 3 years.
3 years.
With them. And, there's so much we could talk about here because of the culture war that we live in.
Sure.
And all of the voices and powers that be trying to shape and mold us in our thinking and what we see. Social media is a culture machine. It's a culture beast.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's shaping the way we view the world. It's really good at it.
It's really good at it, yeah.
Yeah.
Shaping our thinking, shaping our thoughts, shaping the way we see the world, shaping the way they want us to see the world. And when I say us, it's not an us and them thing. It's just when you have planted your flag in the Savior of your life, there's just a way that being a follower of Christ, you're to live your life out. And there's I don't know if I could use the word expectation, but there is something there that should resemble what Christ looks like in the earth. And a lot of times culture draws us away from that, and it wants to bring us into their cultural wars and say things we probably shouldn't say and do things we probably shouldn't do. And all of those things are shifting us into a direction. And truthfully, I find myself, when you're scrolling, when you're clicking, when you're watching YouTube videos, you're watching things, it is all a cultural war that's taking place, specifically to people who are followers of Christ. And I think that's sometimes and again, like I said on Sunday, all things are permissible, but like Paul said, not all things are profitable.
Yeah.
It's okay to scroll. It's okay. I'm not saying not do that. I'm just saying there's so much noise in our world and so much shaping going on that we tend to forget to put Christ first in our life and allow him to start shaping our thoughts, shaping how we see the world, shaping how we see one another, shaping how we treat others, shaping all of those things. And our world is more on the side of vitriol and warring against one another, dividing each other instead of uniting one another. And they'll use terms of uniting, but those aren't words that bring unity. It brings words that we just want you to agree with our side, and that's what's going to bring unity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know this as well as I do, John, we're going to be at moments going to be hated for our faith. Jesus was pretty clear about that. They're going to hate you for it. And so I think sometimes it's taking those stands in moments that we talked about on Sunday, having clear values, clear up complicated decisions.
Yeah. It's a good line. It's interesting because like when David goes into Babylon, I don't think David ever goes into Babylon thinking I'm going to change Babylon.
Right. Daniel. Daniel. Yeah.
I was talking.
You were teaching on David this morning. Yeah.
Different story.
Yeah.
Daniel doesn't go into Babylon thinking I'm going to change Babylon, but Babylon is changed by Daniel's presence there.
Totally.
And that's something I think is maybe worth discussing in terms of our faith. How much of it is Christians seeking power to change things rather than seeking holiness?
Yeah.
And just allowing our presence or our way of doing life to be infectious enough for other people to want to partake in it.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a culture. There's all kinds of culture wars constantly happening.
Sure.
You can pick any two parties or opposing ideas, and that's a culture war.
Even religions.
Yeah, all the time. Different ideologies, different beliefs, different ways of structures like governance. That's the thing we mostly argue about. When it comes to our policies and our politicians, there's constantly a culture war going on. And I wonder how involved Christians should be in trying to change the culture versus being the culture that Jesus called us to be.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think too often we get caught in like, I've got to change my city rather than I need to change myself and align myself to be like God.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what Daniel ultimately does? Like he just makes very personal decisions.
Totally. If I read it correctly, he never gets out of captivity.
Yeah. Yeah, he stays.
In that sense. Yeah.
Right.
But has massive influence in which also brings you to the place of we know that culture of the world itself is never going to, that's not going to change. We're always going to live in that type of, I wouldn't say captivity, but in the world. But yet, like you said, it's, you spoke on something a long time ago, and it's true to what you're saying right now. Like you're saying, we're not human doings, we're human beings, and we just need to be like Christ. I'm not here to try to change culture in and of itself. I think a Christ-like culture changes the things around you, just like you're saying Daniel did.
Yeah.
There's so many things that God did in the midst of the people of Babylon that they actually started believing, like, well, wait a minute, his God's got something going on. Right. I mean, when all the other prophets aren't even, making sense, this guy's actually, he's right on the money. And I think that in moments like that, I think that those are things where we're being and God is working in us so much that out of that overflow of our life, we're making the impact. We're making greater impact than going into it and trying to, what you're saying too. And I think a lot of people think this way, that I'm going to go and it's fine to have the gumption and the zeal, and I'm going to go and I'm going to change the world.
Right.
Well, probably if you change, then you're going to change the world around you.
Yeah.
It starts with you, like you're saying. It's you first. It's God's changing something in you, which changes the people around you.
Yeah, it's not just using Jesus as a backstop to sort of implement whatever you want to do. Like I hear lots of people going, they'll say something that's so anti-Christian and then they'll do it in Jesus's name. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like they'll do some kind of act of violence, but in the name of faith or Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just because you invoke his name, it's not a magical cure. That doesn't culturally define Jesus's culture. You have to be shaped by him first.
That's actually using his name in vain.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That's actually what that is.
To do that. But people do all kinds of things and he gets a lot of credit for stuff he really
didn't.
Wasn't involved in that much at all. But one of the lines I love in Daniel is early on. It's in the first chapter. It says that he chose not to defile himself.
That's
like he made this decision. I'm not going to do this. And so Daniel's an interesting character because he kind of separates himself without being too separate from the culture. You know, it's not like he's not cruel and vindictive, or he doesn't talk down about the Babylonians. He actually does it
very, very in a authority, not his authority, but coming under authority way.
In a submissive way.
In a submissive way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the way that he chooses to be different is not through protest or for standing up for truth. The way he chooses is like in really weird things. It's like, I'm not going to get absorbed in the fine wine and the fine foods of this palace. Yeah. Like I'm not going to allow the riches and the wealth of this nation to influence my thinking. Yeah. Like that's one decision he makes. And it's kind of like choosing to be holy, which means set apart, rather than seeking power so that you can have influence.
That's right.
Because I think in that moment, the temptation is, if I just buy in, I could get real power here to change things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the temptation, I think, for a lot of us Christians. Like we just need,
totally
if we had more, if we were in control, then we could change everything. Yeah. But actually, he kind of chooses, no, I'm just not going to get absorbed. Like I'm going to serve this system, but I'm going to serve it in a way that is
God honoring.
God honoring, Like there's this, what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't defile himself. Like he's undefiled.
Yeah.
And so God honoring is another way of saying it. So he sets himself apart in that way.
Yeah, I think, and the other statement I made for that particular passage too was, I think he understood, if I consume this, then it's going to control me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at that point, you're just giving the legal right for the system to control you in that moment, right? By consuming something. And we all consume things in culture, right? Because all of us could look at our life and say, you know what, culture's influenced this in so much, it's actually controlling my life. Especially if you're on social media right now, or you're just scrolling and you have to do that every day. If you have to do that every day, which you don't, right, unless you're running a social media platform or whatever, you don't have to do that every day, but you do that every day. Why? Because you're consuming it, and you're controlled by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say one of the great theological points of the whole book of Daniel is that you're shaped more by what you consume than what you believe, if you're not careful?
Correct.
And so if you're not very selective, I mean, like the food is a picture about what we put into ourselves and into our minds.
And it's the appetite, right? I call it the appetite.
It's like slaying the beast.
Right. It's not just the appetite for food.
Right.
Like we all have appetite, right? But it's just appetite for the things of the flesh.
Yeah.
I think it's symbolic of that as well.
Yeah.
The things of my flesh that I desire and I want, and I'm just got to flood it into my soul and my life because I feel like I need it, but really you don't.
Right. And culture has a way. It
controls you. Yeah.
Well, it controls you because culture has a way of keeps giving you the things that you want to consume to keep you satisfied.
Yeah.
And if you're satisfied, they can control you.
Yes.
And this sounds all sort of very meta, like they can control your mind. But there's always warping. There's always a re-education going on in our minds. And so, like, that's one of the things that he does to kind of combat that. Like, he just chooses not to have food. Were you aware of other things that Daniel does to kind of separate himself out from other people? Like, one of the ones I was thinking of is like the way that he prays. You know, every single day. Yeah. And when he prays, he doesn't just pray, he opens up. Even when they ban it in the nation, I'm dropping my iPad there.
Yeah.
Even when they ban it in the nation.
Yeah, he opens up the
Opens up.
Yeah.
I want everyone. And not only that, he faces, I can't remember east, northwest. It describes it very specifically, but I did remember doing the research that whatever way he was facing towards Jerusalem, so that no one was in doubt as to who he was praying to. No one could say, oh, well, he's praying to one of our gods.
It was clear.
He was making a clear kind of point. And it's another way that, like, he was submissive, but only up to a point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that like like we don't want to resist with that, but he resists in this way that's like he resists with a spiritual practice.
Well, it was like the disciples at one time when they brought them all in before and says, you got to stop preaching the gospel. They were submitted to authority.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll submit to you in this, but we're going to keep preaching the gospel. Like you know what I mean? Like it was submissive going into it.
Right.
That
they weren't disrespectful.
They weren't disrespectful, but they just said, no, but we're going to continue to preach the gospel.
Yeah.
You know, and which was against what the leaders and the rulers. And I mean, I think that's Daniel's story a little bit there too, is what you're saying as well.
Yeah, he stands up to this, and he just understands that, like, if what he consumes is going to shape him, and so he's incredibly self-disciplined and has so much self-control around the influences of his life. Yeah,
and again, I think it was the moment of just pre-deciding all of that. That didn't start in Babylon. That started in Jerusalem with his disciplines and his commitment to his God.
Yeah,
and commitment to Yahweh and him in those moments of prayer, that regardless of, and I think it's a great story for all of us too, like regardless of your circumstances, you can still pray, you can still honor God, you can still stay committed, regardless if, they all could have said, well, guys, we're in slavery now, and I guess we'll just go with the flow. I don't want to rock the boat. I just want to
make the best of it.
Make the best of this.
It's kind of God's fault anyway.
It's God's fault.
He's put me here.
Yeah.
Like, what does he want me to do?
We could be miserable about it, but Daniel wasn't. And there's a few other stories in there, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Like there's other stories in there that say the same thing, that they were committed, but they pre-decided here. And it wasn't just again, it wasn't just something that, because I think a lot of times when we talk about cultural Christians, it's pretty much permissible and acceptable in the Western world that you're Christians, and okay, you can call yourself that. Well, what does that actually mean? How do we define that? Are you a disciple or are you a cultural Christian? Or like if this happens to you, would you be Daniel? Or would you be the one that says, man, God's abandoned us. Right. I'm just going to go with the flow. I don't want to get beat up for this.
Right. And
I don't want to,
I don't want, and then you assimilate into that culture and you blame it all on God. Like, well, God put me here. Like, I have no choice. This is all his fault. And so we always have excuses.
The strength of Daniel is amazing to me.
It's unreal.
It's unreal.
I mean, most of us, I struggle. I'm not in captivity and I still struggle to control my stomach. Now, but being presented with the king's food every single day when everyone around you is doing that thing, like every single, it's not like, he goes to breakfast every morning and there they are, is everyone eating that food.
Yep.
And you've limited it to this much. I mean, it's an unbelievable restraint.
Yeah.
But it's very purposeful and intentional. It seems like it's not a vindictive thing he's doing.
No. Yeah.
And so, I mean, so culture defines our identity. What do you think modern day people, what can we do to combat culture a little bit? Like just practical everyday tips. What are some stuff like you and Pearl, what's stuff that you do to just kind of unplug a little bit, or, how do you combat all of the noise and the consumption?
Yeah.
And what are basic things, like 3 things that people can do to just be like, okay, I'm going to consume something that's healthy for me?
Yeah, I think one, you were sharing with the staff today about discipline, and it's, and I think that's a part of being a disciple. Obviously, the word discipline is kind of in the word disciple. It's kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the areas is being very disciplined about your time. And when I say time, I'm not talking about an hour, 2 hours. I'm talking about just set aside 15 minutes. If you can't do 20 minutes, do 15. Of discipline, of working towards something that's unplugging your life from what culture is wanting you to do and plugging it into those God moments of whether it's prayer, reading the word, or devotional. For some, like my wife, she would say she would have more of a difficult time just statically reading the scripture. She loves wrapping it around devotionals. To where it gets her in thought and it asks questions, poignant questions in that moment where she can then take her moment with God and pray about that question about her own personal life, right? And I think a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are like I need a devotional to help me stay guided and directed and even accountable to this every day. And I think that's one area. Our time is valuable should be valuable to us. We only get so much of it. Yeah. We only get so much of it on this earth. And I think some of the most incredible people that I know have some of the most incredible regrets of things because they didn't take the time back here for something, I regret at the end of their life, they're regretting not spending more time or not being around more or not, and that's what we have. It's super valuable. And I think that's one area of our life, that time frame, whatever that is, to discipline that out in your life. Listen, everybody can do that. I think everyone can do that. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that can't do it. And I know we're busy people, and I know we're running here and there. You got kids or waking. Listen, we've been there, done that. Kids. Now we're getting ready to have grandbaby, and we're it's there. There's all kinds of things that are really that are happening around us. But I think anybody can take a little bit of segment of time to discipline your life, to set it up, to create a God-first culture in your own heart, in your own life, instead of picking up your phone first and scrolling. Right? Yeah. There's how many Americans, I would love to know that statistic.
First thing in the morning?
The first thing in the morning, the first thing they do, they pick up their phone, they check an email or get on social media or whatever it is, they're scrolling on something.
Scary
right?
amount, yeah.
I would love to know that statistic. So instead of doing that, take a moment when you're laying in bed, thank the Lord for the day. Holy Spirit, thank you for this incredible day. Another day I get to live, to love my wife, to love others today. Put people in my path today, Lord, that you want me to speak to, minister to, whether at work, whether at Starbucks, whether at the grocery store. I open my life up to you today. It's simple as that. Instead of picking the phone, scrolling, doing that first. Create a God-first culture in your heart. That's what we see in Daniel. That's obviously clear values that he had because he put God first here. He didn't have to make the complicated decisions to do it here now. Now I'm going to do it because I'm in captivity. No, he did it here so that when the difficult decisions came, it was really clear what he needed to do.
Yeah. I think that's so accessible for so many people. That doesn't require education or talent or finances or, all of these barriers to entry is very low to set aside some time, like you said.
I know it sounds so simple.
No, but it's always in the simple truths, isn't it? These things. And I think, we have to be so cognizant because our consumption is shaping us. And just knowing that is half the battle. Back in the 30s, smoking was recommended if you had a cough because it cleared the lungs out. And so they didn't understand that their consumption was harming them. There was that's what it's like sometimes for us, is just not knowing that what we're consuming us is shaping and harming us. And your beliefs don't come from nowhere. They're shaped and they're given to you by someone or something. And the question is what? What? So you get to be the gatekeeper.
That's right.
And what you're saying is, maybe open up the door be the gatekeeper and allow something healthy to come in by allowing God to be the first person or scripture to form you first before the phone or before all the companies that are telling you to buy this or do that or think this, or a political party gets in your head first thing in the morning. And so I love that. I think that's great. Well, we're going to keep diving into Daniel over the next couple of weeks. It's just an amazing, there's so many great stories within this story.
There is.
And he's such a fascinating character and somebody who really kind of, he runs the race, doesn't he? He seems to go the whole distance. And so we'll keep doing that. If you haven't read Daniel in a while,
pick it up and read it.
Pick it up and read it. It's just awesome, a great story. You know, you don't have to be a scholar to understand it. It's so accessible. Doesn't matter what translation, just go read it. And I mean, if you really want to get in the weeds, we can give you some translations, but you know, just go read it and immerse yourself and picture what it's like being him and put yourself in that story as well. Culture wars, identity. We're so glad to be back with you. We will be back very soon with some more content for you. But anything else you want to add, or we wrap this up for today?
No, that's it, man. Thanks for having the questions and having them readily available here in this discussion. And it's awesome to be back with you guys in 2026, and we're super excited about the future. Yeah, great. So click subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and we will see you very, very soon. God bless. God bless.